We have risen from the ashes to school the masses. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Scholars of Wrestling Show, episode 468. I am your man behind the microphone, Scholar Jeff. Joining us this week, as always, the Scholars of Wrestling World Champion and the OG Undisputed Scholar himself. You know him, you love him. He cannot get enough titles and nicknames and such. He is Scholar Tarek. Scholar Tarek, how's your evening going, sir? And was that
I
introduction long enough?
It was a very good introduction. I applaud you. Tip my hat. I don't actually have a hat, so I can't just invisible hat to you. That was a great introduction. Yes, hello everyone. Welcome to Clash at the Castle predictions. Ooh, I'm so pumped for this show. Yeah, Clash at the Castle. No title defense this time. I'm saving that for Brian, which I believe is the next show, which is uh Forbidden Door. So this one is just for
Indeed, it
Scholar of the
is.
Year points. And that's
Hey,
next week, right?
uh, no, I believe that's actually 2 weeks from now. Checking the calendar. Yes, we've got Forbidden Door happening in 2 weeks from now,
2 weeks. Okay.
as I show the whole entire world the status of my beat up phone case. But
It
yes, we are
it's
looking
coming in
at.
nice. I don't see a beat up phone case. I just see a phone case. It looks good. Don't worry, fool.
I'm not worried. The only thing I'm worried about right now is losing points for towards Scholar of the Year after week after week of prediction shows. I'll tell you what, as much as I love these prediction games that we play, every little point is adding up. And I don't intend on losing any more points anytime soon, if I can help it.
Okay.
You don't believe me at all, do you?
No. I believe you're gonna try. I believe you're gonna try. As someone who actually knows the Scholar of the Year points so far, you are certainly going to try.
You can certainly try, young man.
It's
Bless your heart.
you,
You're doing so well.
you
You're
get
try you're
you're
trying
gonna t
so hard.
you're gonna this is your effort right now, and I'm just gonna hang in here next to my avatar picture with Mike and Brian. Oh, it's be like such a good job. We're just gonna hang here so everyone can see it.
So you can see. Good job. You get a gold star. Let me put that on the fridge.
I will say,
You're laying it on pretty thick, sir.
I will say I kind of need a momentum swing because Brian winning the battleground. Well, he shared the win with Charlie for battleground, so the momentum for our title match at Forbidden Door is kind of in his favor. I kind of need to swing on back here and show that yeah, the battle of the undisputed scholars is not as going to be as easy as he thinks. Love you, Brian.
So with that being said, what do you say we just dive right into it? This is Clash at the Castle 2024, kicking things off with the first match that's announced on at least the card I've got in front of me. We've got a triple threat match for the women's tag team titles. We've got Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill defending their titles against Alba Fire and Isla Dawn, and also the team of Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark. Triple threat women's tag team match. Cool. Would you like to pick first as a defending champion or as a champion as a whole, or would you like to defer to me first?
I'm gonna let you go first on this one. I mean, it really doesn't matter. I think we're gonna have the same predictions on this one. So I'm gonna be an honorable champion and let you go first, fool.
Yes, an honorable champion when there's no stakes whatsoever. How kind of you. But yes, be that as it may,
There's still stakes on
you
this. Who are you kidding?
be that as it may, you do bring up a good point. This is probably one of the more predictable matches on the card. I'm going to go with Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill to win. I don't think they're going to lose this one. There's of all the people who have a hometown advantage, I don't think Alba Fire and Isla Dawn, even if you factor in everything that Alba Fire has been through over the past week of just with her mother passing away in a car accident so suddenly,
Our
even with
condolences.
that, yeah, that's awful. But even with that and the hometown advantage and the sympathy and all of that, I just don't see it happening. I feel like Alba Fire and Isla Dawn as a team need more exposure on a to a television audience because they're good. I like them, but they have been off TV for far too long and need to be built up a little bit more before they win the tag team titles. And Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark, yeah, they're known entities, but I feel like they just aren't at that upper crust just yet. And again, I do like Shanna Baszler and Zoe Stark. I like all of these ladies, but as of right now, as of this show, I don't think either of the other two teams have enough to really topple the champs at this point. So I'm gonna go with Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill to successfully defend.
I'm also gonna go with Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill. Surprise to no one to successfully retain. I do agree with you that Alba Fire and Isla Dawn need. I this could be said with this could be said with another person who has a hometown advantage going into this show. Um, is that they didn't get that much exposure for the television audience. I feel like they're just thrown in this match because hey, it's in Scotland, local. But yeah, I wish there was. I wish they did have more TV time. At least get some wins under their belt to make it feel like credible contenders to get to go for the women's tag team titles. Uh, and same thing can kind of go with Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark. Just may I think this loss will help them at least go over to the Sonya Deville storyline that they've been planning for these past couple of weeks. So this is just a way. I think it's going to be Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark getting pinned here because Alba Fire and Isla Dawn are going to be the hometown heroes. They're not going to get pinned. Uh, but yeah, Bianca Belair and Jay Cargill, they got momentum apparently. They're the real stars of this group. So of course they're going to be the ones getting the victory here.
Naturally. That will bring us to our next match, which the order may seem a little bit unusual, but this is just what I have in front of me. Next match I've got is Cody Rhodes versus AJ Styles in a match for the WWE World Heavyweight World Championship in an I Quit match. Uh, I tell you what, I didn't expect to see an I Quit match, but I feel like this feud needed something a little bit different. This feud needed something that's needed something fresh to really capture everyone's imagination. Can Cody wrestle up a storm? Yes. Can AJ Styles wrestle up a storm? Of course he can. But this I Quit match is, I think, something that this feud desperately needed. That being said, I don't think it's going to change the outcome of the match at all. I am absolutely going for Cody Rhodes to retain this championship. This the championship reign will live on. Maybe we'll see interference from the OC or something like that, but it won't nothing no matter how we get there, it's not going to change the end of the match. Cody does not lose here. He's still got some time left to what I see is going to be a very, very strong first world title reign. And I don't see it ending anytime soon. Cody Rhodes to win.
I'm also going to go with Cody Rhodes to win. I'm just going to make it perfectly clear. I'm not a fan of I Quit matches. I don't know if it's just because the last dozen I Quit matches always featured Cena. So it's always that same thing. Like he's never going to lose. So it's like, what's the point of even just the concept of I Quit matches? If you're going to put a stipulation, at least put like something like a submission or something, just having the referee always constantly going up to the person with a microphone. Do you quit? In your face. No, I don't quit.
Repeat for
And
15 minutes.
repeat for 15 minutes. Actually, no, the last I Quit match was actually with Judgment Day and Edge. And they forced Edge to quit because, they were going to do something to Beth Phoenix. But it's much more of the hated feud of Edge versus Judgment Day. Uh, but that being said, it's pretty much the same situation. I hated that concept, and now it's just the guy's quitting because his wife was going to be attacked. I'm just not a fan of this stipulation. If my feelings for this stipulation is how most people feel about the traditional Survivor Series match over the years. It's just people, I'm just like, ugh, it's not a good concept. I wish they could just get rid of it. Agreed that Cody and AJ do need a stipulation, and in a way, I guess it makes sense with him with the whole fake retirement angle that AJ Styles did in reference of the Mark Henry spot. But that being said, yeah, Cody's going to retain. Cody, this is pretty much a Cody Cena situation. I mean, if the man can go into a Hell in a Cell with a ripped tit, I'm sure he can not quit a regular singles match.
I'm sorry, he went into Hell in a Cell with a what?
Ripped tit.
That's what I thought I heard. I'm like, yep, talking Cody, yeah, rip tit.
Wait, what?
Wait, what? Uh,
uh, am I wrong though?
no, you are not wrong. There's nothing more manly than going into a fight with a ripped tit, clearly.
Clearly. You're welcome.
But speaking of manly things and ripped tits, we've got an Intercontinental title match. We've got Sami Zayn defending the Intercontinental Championship against Chad Gable at long last. I'll tell you what, this feud has been banging on all cylinders, but you know what? It's the Intercontinental title, so I think it's only appropriate that this first pick goes to you, fool. What do you got?
I'm gonna go with Chad Gable. Uh, this match is gonna be more storyline than match. This is gonna be that point where Tozawa and Maxine Dupree finally walk out on Chad Gable, and we're gonna have Otis be the first one to break away from Chad Gable. But when you think that Sammy's gonna get that win, out come the Creed brothers to bring in the new Alpha Academy, and it's gonna be the start of Chad Gable versus Otis. And I feel like at this point in time, with Sami Zayn being pretty much the third wheel of this feud, he's going to be the one to back Otis, going to be that one supportive friend that actually is going to be there for Otis. And I could actually see them setting up a six-man tag with Otis, Sami Zayn, and Akira Tozawa versus Chad Gable and the Creed brothers to continue with that momentum, and which will inevitably be the Otis versus Chad Gable feud that will culminate at SummerSlam.
Hmm.
At least that's how I'm picturing this going. And at this point, in order for this story to really continue going, I think Chad needs to win here.
I'm going to do you one further. I'm going to say that not only does Chad Gable need to win this match, I feel like he and Sammy can do it just by a straight up wrestling match. I see what you're saying about this is probably going to be a lot more story driven than a traditional wrestling match. However, I do not think in this case that the two are going to be mutually exclusive. We already know that Sammy can wrestle up a storm. Obviously, we know that Chad Gable can wrestle up a storm. And I feel like this is going to be one of those times where they, even if they just set themselves on autopilot, they're still going to absolutely deliver. Another thing that I think where we actually differ, I believe, is I don't think we're going to get the full turn or the same debut of the Creed brothers joining the Alpha Academy. I don't believe it's going to all happen on this particular night. I think it's going to happen immediately after that, or at some point in the very near future after that. I think we're going to see a lot of sudden developments the Monday after Clash at the Castle. I think that's where we see a lot more part twos or part threes to storylines in the immediate aftermath of this. And I think that in the case of Chad Gable and Alpha Academy, I think that's when we're going to be getting the reveal of the Creed brothers joining Alpha Academy and that whole shift going on. I don't, maybe we'll get a piece of it at Clash of the Castle, but I don't think we're going to get all of the reveals, all of the unveilings on Sunday because I feel in this particular case that the result of this match, Chad Gable winning this match, has to happen in my mind as clean as possible to make him a credible threat and not just your typical, chicken shit heel cheating to win and all that stuff. Or if he must do these kinds of things, keep it to a minimum and not just go full Vince McMahon era cowardly heel. That's doesn't really seem to be what this character of heel Chad Gable seems to be, or at least not to the same extent. Is this making sense?
It does. I just feel the way that the only way I can really see this going is if pretty much we're all waiting for that moment when Otis finally attacks Chad Gable. That's what this whole story is building towards. And now that Otis is at the boiling point that was shown on Monday Night Raw, I think we were like he's hit like something happened. The referee's gonna get knocked out, and Otis is going to start set up a world's strongest slam, and we're gonna get the Creed brothers to save him as masked assailants that will reveal themselves. And they're not gonna attack Sami Zayn. Sami's gonna get up and realize it should be like, what do you do? He's gonna try and come out and help, and then that's where Chad's gonna get the advantage. Not like particularly like cheap cowardly heel blow. He's just gonna attack a distracted Sammy, possibly hit him with an angle slam and get the pin. Basically taking advantage of the situation. So it's not a full-on chicken shit heel tactic. It's just clever heel strategy to get that one good secure win, which I think that this is the signing point that finalized Chad Gable's deal and signing a new contract with WWE and being one of the top, he pretty much is now one of the top heels on Raw. Yes, please keep going with this. This is long overdue for Chad Gable. It's so great. No more of this Shorty G BS that
Shorty
Vince
G
McMahon
is
looking.
way long in the past. He's by far eclipsed that now. That's
Well, yeah, now because he's actually given the opportunity because a certain asshole is gone instead of just, oh, we need the big guys. No, Chad Gable is a perfect example of someone who can actually be a great character who is also a great wrestler. And with that, I think it's going to end with Otis being taken out by the Creed brothers, uh, Sammy getting distracted to the point where Chad hits his finisher, 1, 2, 3, win.
and with that, now we move on to something completely different. Now we're moving on to our next match for the WWE Women's Championship. We've got Bayley defending her championship against the hometown girl, Piper Niven. For this one, I gotta be honest, I want so badly to be able to pick Piper Niven with confidence. I would love to see it. I think she deserves it. I think she is doing a great job, but my gut is telling me I don't think it's going to happen, at least not yet. I think there's got to be a lot of wailing and gnashing of teeth in Scotland today because unfortunately I'm going to need to go with Bayley. Uh, I know that I would love to see it. I know that Scotland would love to see it. I'm pretty certain Piper herself would love to see it. But Something tells me that the rest of the WWE creative is not ready to go there just yet. For better or for worse, I just don't see them pulling the trigger just yet. And I think we're going to result in another Bailey victory. Cool. What do you think?
I'm also going to go with a Bailey victory, and I'm going to repeat what you said. I would love to see Piper win this one. She's the other example of she's going into this event with not that big of a momentum going. She hasn't had singles matches to give her wins to build up that momentum going into this. I mean, we've had story that's been building since Royal Rumble. At least we have that. And then her displaying in the Queen of the Ring tournament. At least we have something, but I feel like we just need more to make her feel like a credible threat. And unfortunately, yeah, she's not there as a credible threat. Honestly, now that they introduced the NXT North American Women's Championship, I hope that this will lead to an eventual secondary women's championship for the main roster. Have it be the same rules as the women's tag team that can jump from show to show, and then have your two world champions be the dedicated ones on the particular brands. And if that's the case, I actually would pick Piper Niven to be the inaugural winner of said secondary championship because I just think she does deserve that much because she deserves to be shown a lot more. And having Chelsea Green as her secondary as kind of her mouthpiece actually would work for her too. And just so sometimes she can be thrown into singles matches and just show her dominance in a quote quote handicap fashion. Just help to show her as a star, which we already know she can be.
This is a pretty tricky question for me. Not saying I didn't necessarily disagree with you, but I feel like on the main roster, there a mid card women's singles title is pretty much unprecedented for the modern era, at least for the main roster of WWE. Mostly for the fact that we don't really know what it looks like just yet, or it doesn't really have. I can't even say it doesn't have the same credibility as other titles, or the credibility level is off, mostly because it's so unprecedented. What do I mean by that? Well, let's take AEW for instance. Right from the get-go with the TBS title, there was an understanding about how prestigious it was meant to be. It was a true mid-card title, and it was also a prestigious one. It really did feel like the Intercontinental title. I'm I'm pretty sure you and I were both in the same crowd when Jade Cargill first became the inaugural TBS champion. I think we were both at that show. So
I actually think you're right. Yeah.
yeah, I'm pretty sure you were there. So even going in with with the big tournament and all the pomp and circumstance, there was a palpable level of excitement and prestige that came with that title, at least at that time. With the NXT Women's North American Champion, it seemed like it was a bit underneath that mark. Not saying it was bad, but it seemed like it was a up and comers title. It wasn't didn't have the quite the prestige yet that other titles do. No disrespect to Kalani Jordan, but there's a reason in my mind that none of us got that prediction right. I think that's as big a statement as any about how the WWE and NXT see that title, at least for right now. That being said, if or and when a women's mid card singles title does come out, I really it'll depend on how they position it. Because as of right now, I have a real hard time seeing Piper Niven in that role just because I see her a hair away from being a credible main event competitor. Like there's all it takes is that one extra little something, and then she is a credible threat for the WWE Women's World Championship. If they take the TBS title route with something like that, then yes, I can absolutely see Piper Niven stepping in and becoming their inaugural champion. If they take the stance of just like, okay, newcomer, fresh out the box, stop, look, and watch, like they did with NXT, that I feel like Piper Niven has sort of grown beyond at this point, if that makes sense.
It does. I do like, in all honesty, if it is going to be like a women's mid card title, I can actually see them being the women's intercontinental championship. Just the exact same thing as the men's, just, white.
Give it,
Um,
give it a white strap and then just walk away.
and that's pretty much it. And I think that's pretty much all it would need. And having someone like Piper Niven, as you're putting it, something's missing. In my personal opinion, I think the things that are missing is just more TV time as not the lackey to Chelsea, not a comedy act with Chelsea Green, but a legit contender. And just keep giving her win, win, win to the point where, yeah, she's a credible threat, but she's not main event just yet. And giving her pretty much the number 2 title to basically both the women's world and the women's WWE championship. Because like I said, just keep one. Have it be like the women's tag team championship. Have it jump from each brand. So yeah, just she can have more TV time instead of being dedicated to one show. And I think that would just, and having someone established who is an up and comer, who is on that verge of being a main event talent, would be great for someone like the Intercontinental Championship, which is in general the stepping stone for people who are transitioning from upper mid card to main event. So, okay, with that being said, back to Bayley. Bayley winning. This is all just her setting up. This is all just setting up for her match with Nia Jax at SummerSlam. Bayley for the win.
And
But
there you
yeah,
go.
the
There
the
we
women, the
go.
women's secondary title is just a whole separate conversation that could be talked about on another episode with possibly even more scholars joining us.
Kind of seemed like we were going down that rabbit hole pretty quick as it was.
That's why I
So
was just like,
all
no,
for
no,
the
stop.
best.
I was like, stop, stop, stop. Long conversation.
Let's
Because
put
yeah,
a
that could
pin
be
in
it.
that for now.
Exactly.
Well, that will bring us to our final match on the card, which of course is Damian Priest defending the World Heavyweight Championship against Drew McIntyre in his hometown. Tarek, final pick goes to you. Which way you going on this one?
I really wish Charlie was here because of just what happened when we saw him last weekend, and just how his I guess, yeah, his girlfriend's son was just such a hardcore Drew fan. It's just like, oh, he's gonna win the world
Drew
title in his home
McIntyre's gonna
country.
win it.
He's the greatest of all time, and I was just like, no, he's not. As much as I love Drew, I love Drew. He's not winning the world heavyweight championship. Uh, he's gonna get screwed over by CM Punk. Uh, there's now. It's so funny. I was watching this past episode of Raw, and there was just so many different story beats that were going on to where Drew's position is not the world heavyweight title. It's hate to say, he's beyond the world title now. He's bigger than the world title right now with his match with CM Punk for SummerSlam. Uh, uh Damian Priest is gonna retain, and we're gonna have, and it's all setting up to his inevitable, can't say that 3 times fast apparently. His
Inevitable,
match.
inevitable, inevitable.
Good for you. Pat yourself on the back. Come on. Pat
I'll
yourself on the
I'll
shoulder.
give myself
Do
a
it.
Barry
Go
Horowitz. I'll
on.
do it. I don't
Do it.
care.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead. Good for you. Inevitable match with Finn Balor. From seeing Finn Balor's expression when Damian Priest is saying, I'm the world champion. I don't need anyone. You could just see the anger building behind Finn Balor's face. If you actually watch that opening segment again, and just how Priest basically is like, here, you got to face Finn Balor. You win, no Judgment Day. It is now we're heading towards the path in between now and SummerSlam. We're getting Finn Balor versus Damian Priest for the World Heavyweight Championship. And with him taking the hotel key that was left by Liv Morgan, I can actually see it being like a Finn Balor, Liv Morgan versus a Damian Priest, Rhea Ripley type of thing, since there's this obviously an
Dominic
inevitable.
Mysterio for custody of Dominic again.
Actually, well, of course, that's all that's all Triple H wants the internet wrestling community to talk about. He's not going to do it. He's going to let us do it for him. Um, Actually, this brings in a scholar's quick talk with how this story's been going. Do you see Dominic Mysterio siding with Rhea Ripley at the end of this?
I think that all comes down to one question, and that's, do they want to keep Dominic Mysterio a face, or do they want to keep him a heel, or do they want to make him a face? Right now, Rhea Ripley is one of the most over acts in the company, bar none. Everyone loves mommy, full stop. If they want to keep the super heel, the chronically douchebag guy, Dominic Mysterio, if they want to keep that guy, they want to keep him a bad guy, have him cheat on the woman that everybody loves. Have him cheat on mommy. Have him be a total full on scumbag and side with Liv Morgan. And then, like, you broke mommy's heart. No one breaks mommy's heart. Now she's going to break your spine. But if they want to sort of make him a tweener at best, or a baby face, or whatever you want to call him, leave him with mommy. Just have him still be the envy of the entire crowd, but ultimately loyal because you don't cheat on mommy.
I,
Full
I the
stop.
way I the way I'm looking at this with how they're trying to have, I think the initial plan was to have Dominic see like he's actually in league with Liv Morgan, but making it look as though he's not. But looking back on how this is progressing and just thinking about the Dominic Mysterio character, I actually think he's actually being sincere and not wanting to have anything to do with Liv Morgan. He is loyal to Rhea Ripley. And the question on whether or not Dom will turn is now going to what Finn Balor is doing. And I think Finn Balor is going to be the one that's going to be the one that's siding with Liv Morgan. And I think he's going to take JD McDonough with him. Um, to where, yeah, in all honesty, I can actually, as much as people just love booing Dominic, I actually see him being turned into the Prince Nana to Rhea Ripley Swerve Strickland. Basically being the like kind of just that like little the little annoying guy that does the little that has that one little thing that just helps helps them build character with their initial thing. Because I at this point, I think right now, I think they are trying to at least make Dominic look like, okay, he's an idiot. He's stupid for all the things he did with his dad. But I do think that they're gonna have him be like he truly cares about Rhea Ripley. He does care about his mommy. And I think that's just gonna be the point where he's gonna choose his side with Rhea. And all this is just the inevitable explosion of the Judgment Day. Judgment Day is not long for this world right now. And this is how I see them breaking up with Liv Morgan destroying what Rhea Ripley loves, her stable, basically driving her kid, her her sub,
Her strong little man.
her little her strong little guy, basically just messing with him.
Excuse me, he said no pickles.
Oh, I love it. It's so fun. But yeah, I think right now you're gonna keep that slimy character of Dom, but as a face too, because he's gonna show he is loyal to Rhea Ripley, and that the true heel factor in this is gonna be Finn Balor finally ejecting himself from Judgment Day, getting pretty much imploding from the inside. Liv Morgan continuing her revenge tour in destroying or taking Rhea Ripley's title, destroying her team, and basically kind of sexual assaulting her dom, her dom 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 dom.
Yeah, this
But yeah,
in
Damian Priest for the win, with CM Punk costing Drew McIntyre the win because he's going in there with Drew now because he's the one going for the title. It's not just about the Judgment Day. He's going in this so cocky. It's pretty much, yeah, he has that same momentum that he's going in to when he faced Roman Reigns last year, but not as a face, but as now just a full on heel. And now that he's going in with the cocky momentum, with everything, that he'll probably even come out once again to Broken Dreams. To like he's too confident, and that's where CM Punk's gonna cost him the match.
and I feel like that is where we differ more than anything else right now. Yeah, he's going in. Yeah, he's confident, but he's also doing some incredible work lately. And plus, I also gotta imagine the live crowd in attendance. They need to be thrown a bone here. And frankly,
Oh, they don't.
I'm yeah, they do. I think they do, and I think in this particular case, they will. I'm gonna go with Drew McIntyre. I'm
We're
going to
not.
go,
All right, continue.
I'm going to go with Drew McIntyre. I feel like the live crowd here does need a not only do they need a bone here, they need one of their hometown people to win. And I feel like with all the work that Drew McIntyre has been putting in, I think Drew McIntyre has the highest chance of anybody. And if he doesn't win, then I feel like maybe they do pull the trigger on Piper Niven. There's an outside chance maybe they give it to Alba Fire and Isla Dawn. But something's got to happen. And frankly, I'm putting all my money behind Drew. I feel like it's the right time, and Drew has been absolutely killing it. Now is that time. There's a million and a half things you can do with the Judgment Day. They set up so many things, they planted so many seeds. And frankly, the what you just described was, in my mind, one of many different scenarios that could be plausible. But it also doesn't change it also does not the only thing it does not factor in your plan, I believe, is factoring in the role and the value of someone like Drew McIntyre. And I feel like if you're gonna ever pull the trigger on him, like for a real title reign, and they seem to be also be planting their roots in Scotland, at least to a certain extent. I think that I'm putting my money behind Drew. I think Drew McIntyre, by hook or by crook, is going to win the World Heavyweight Championship.
They're not gonna have him have such a short title reign, and have him lose to Gunther at SummerSlam.
Who said anything about Gunther?
He's getting a title match at SummerSlam. He's
Hmm.
King of the Ring.
Cross that bridge when it come to it. I'm still going. Do it any other boys you want. I'm still going to
Hell,
Drew McIntyre to win.
they even threw that in when after Gunther won the King of the Ring, that on the night on the Raw after Drew McIntyre come, like they had their go down with Damian Priest and Gunther. Drew McIntyre comes in and Gunther just looks at him and just walks away. We know what the world title match is going to be, and Damian Priest is going to be what Ricochet was for Gunther's Intercontinental title reign, and just the guy that Gunther beats to get his everlong World Heavyweight Championship reign.
All right, and
Drew,
that
because
yes,
Drew versus Punk is the bigger match for SummerSlam than possibly making it a triple threat match with Gunther for the world title.
with that, there is only one thing that remains coming out of Clash of the Castle. I alluded to it before in our conversation before we started recording for this evening, and that is the idea of Uncle Howdy. For those of us who have been following the QR codes and seeing where they've led and all of these things, the tempo has been a little bit different since the whole White Rabbit thing with Bray Wyatt. But this one, a lot of the hidden text and all of these different hints and whatever you have, they all seem to be leading to one specific date. And that date is the Monday Night Raw after Clash at the Castle. It's the only date that's been repeated in any of this stuff. I'm sure someone's got a compilation of all these different listings of all the different QR codes of everything that was shown. But yeah, the date seems to be making it clear that Monday after Clash of the Castle, we're going to be getting the return of Uncle Howdy and the Wyatt family, Wyatt Six, whatever this group is called. They're going to be arriving the Monday night on Monday Night Raw after Clash of the Castle. My Scholar's Quick Talk is, assuming that we do get some variation of this group, what do you believe we're going to see? A little
More
bit
like
big of
the
a question.
I think the real question you need to ask is like, who are they going to go after first? Because I don't see them coming out for just a promo. Because I'm since it's going to be on Monday Night Raw, who do we see them starting having their first rivalry with? That is a tough one. Well, yeah, because it's obvious they're going to be, in my opinion, the replacement for the top faction on Raw, since Judgment Days and is just their days are numbered at this point. Uh, the only team I can really think of is LWO and Braun Strowman.
Hmm.
And it especially works with Braun Strowman being a former Wyatt family member who's trying so hard to basically be that go ho lucky good guy. It's a good way to get him out of the title picture, and he'll most it's with how this stable is looking. It looks like Eric Rowan is going to be the big muscle of this faction, and Dexter Loomis and Joe Gacy are going to be the tag team of this stable. And then Nikki Cross is the like the female edition. Uncle Howdy will be the, I guess, in the managerial role, and I'm convinced we'll inevitably see the higher power, quote quote, higher power in this will be Alexa Bliss. But that's a future story, because right now we're focusing on the five that's going to debut on Monday, and I don't and the only way I could see that is them taking out Braun Strowman and LWO. That's the only way I can actually see. That's the only people I can actually think. That or the Miz and R-Truth, have them immediately go for the tag titles. But I don't feel like that group doesn't need the tag titles. Like, save that for either AOP or the Creed brothers. Have these be just an act that doesn't need the title. They just need their presence.
Part of me thinks is there's going to be more of a standalone segment, but if I had to pick someone to get into a first feud with, there's no basis for any of this. But you know what? If I had to take a shot in the dark, the first name that springs to mind is DIY because of the inclusion of Dexter Loomis and all that. And they need someone they can beat up. And frankly, I feel like, for better or for worse, I feel like DIY is in that position right now. Until they move them up to a bigger feud, a bigger, badder feud with some sort of more established tag team or faction or whatever. I feel like if they do interrupt a match, It may actually be DIY, so they can have those singles matches and tag matches with Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa.
They're SmackDown. They're
Like
they're
I
face
said,
they're feuding against Austin Theory and Grayson Waller for the SmackDown tag titles or the WWE tag titles. So yeah, if it's they're gonna go after a tag team, yeah, the only people that can go are either New Day, but they're in a thing with Karrion Cross right now, so I don't think they're gonna be involved with that. Uh, R-Truth and The Miz. Honestly, I can even see, because the whole story is R-Truth throwing in making tag team title matches against just anyone. I could see uh him being manipulated by Uncle Howdy to get a tag title match if they're going to give them the tag titles. But again, I don't see them getting titles anytime soon because I feel like that stable doesn't need titles. They just need their presence. So the only other option for me personally is Braun Strowman, particularly Braun Strowman.
I'll tell you what, it's certainly not an easy thing to guess. Anything can happen with
It's a
this
fun
group at this
conversation
point.
though, because
It is
what
fun to speculate.
I'm really looking forward to this, just to see how what they're gonna do for the memory of Wyndham, Uncle Bray. How this is gonna, like, where they're gonna go with this in his for his memory. And I don't care what, like, Brian Alvarez says. I know he's never been a fan of the spooky nonsense from what Bray did. I don't. That's the one real thing I will always disagree with him on. Is that I like the spooky nonsense. Hell, it was Taker that made me a wrestling fan in the first place because of his spooky nonsense. So I'm all for this as long, and I am very confident in the creative to make this right to what Bray had to deal with again the Vince McMahon regime, who never understood Bray's creativity. I feel like Triple H is someone who could. I mean, we only got the first glimpse of that when he before his passing. Yeah, we just got the tip of the iceberg, and now we're gonna see where this new iceberg is gonna lead for this faction, and I'm all for it.
As am I. This is gonna be very exciting, and I know that I think I speak for fans like us when I say that I have been it's not gonna be the same thing as Bray, but oh man, it's gonna be so great to see. Just I don't see how this could be bad. Famous
I'm
last
just
words, I know, but I'm like, you know what? Honestly that hopeful.
I'm really curious to see how, like, how different Uncle Howdy is gonna look now that he's. I'm gonna go lore story and just basically, excuse me, uh, absorb the fiend Bray Wyatt essence to become a now leader of a new faction, or at least what you think is the leader, which I still think Alexa Bliss is inevitable going to be the higher power of this stable. Not it's all me all along, Austin. I don't care how much I'm bagging Vince McMahon. Yeah. The more I now it's just at this point, the more I look back, the more I'm just like he's like I'm glad it's just one other thing. I'm glad he's gone. I'm glad Kevin Dunn's gone. I love the product we're getting now. I love the presentation we're getting now, and I think that we are in very good hands for this new faction.
Absolutely. But then again, those are our predictions. Those are our thoughts on not only Clash of the Castle, but what we're going to be seeing on Monday Night Raw the night after. But now is the time in our show where we turn it over to you, our fellow fans. What do you think is going to happen at Clash of the Castle? What do you think the new Wyatt family slash Uncle Howdy slash Bo Rotunda, whatever? What are we going to see? What do you want to see? Comment below. Let us know all across the internet, Facebook comments, YouTube posts, wherever you are, we are as well. So join the conversation, especially on the Twitter machines. Cool. Where can they reach you?
You can reach me at the Avatar.
And you can reach me at I'm Robbie Rage. Join in the conversation. It's sure to be an amazing weekend of wrestling. But you already knew that because you know who we are. We are the Scholars of Wrestling, and you have just been schooled. You're
You're
welcome.
welcome.
See you all for a clash at the castle.